Hello everyone, thanks for tuning to Sims Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, today we're going to be reviewing The Execution of Prince by Luden Gray. This was not on my bingo card. So, I requested I like free books. And so I requested to be on the street team, except not really. Not really sure how I got on the street team for this book, because it really wasn't my cup of tea. You know, I was just looking at the cover and the synopsis and I'm like, I don't know that I want to read this book. And then I got the email like, hey, you're part of the street team. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. I fully expected not to like the book, but I'm part of the street team, so I gave it a fair shot. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to read the book. It was great. I loved it. I love when I'm kind of forced out of my comfort zone, because then I get really pleasantly surprised. I think a lot of us, we just tend to buy what we know we like, as we should, as we should. Just buy what you like. Life is too short to be spent wasting reading things that you don't like. One of my friends were reading When the Moon Hatched for book club. She DNF'd it at page 155. And I'm like, no, especially that was one of my favorite books, but I totally get it. She's not a fan of the female main character, even though I personally loved her. And I think she's such a badass bitch. But I agree. But I completely understand. It's like life is too short to be spent reading things that do not make you happy. So I am always happy when I'm kind of pushed out of my comfort zone. And then I'm introduced into something like new and great. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. This is not a book I would normally pick up for myself. Not at all. Dark romantasy. That's not really my shtick. I like epic fantasies. I like epic sci-fis. I hate saying romantasy because I'm not really there for the romance. I'm there for the story and the plot. So I like fantasy with romance, even though, you can call it romantasy. But I'm not really big on like the whole romance is central to the plot aspect of stories. Like, that's not my thing. I feel like if you're going to do romance in a book, you have to do it well. So I like fantasy with romance and sci-fi with romance. Like, I don't mind romance. I just don't need it to be the core of the story. So when I got this book, it was like a dark romantasy. And I'm like, I don't really like dark fantasy. I like urban fantasy. And I don't really I like romantasy. It's not an auto buy for me, you know what I mean? But I was really happy that this book completely out of my comfort zone, and I loved it, every minute of it. Harrow and Thorne are very much Lestat and Louis coded. They're so toxic for one another, but I'm so here for it. I absolutely love their dynamic. I like the characterization. I liked the way the story evolved, and I love the pacing. The pacing really is what kept me intrigued from beginning to end. And I think Harrow and Thorne were really good characters in and of themselves, separate of their dynamic. I wish we had more of Thorne's POV. We get like one, I think maybe two POVs that are in his, POV, saying that a lot, sorry. And that's about it. Whereas the rest of the story is pretty much, Harrow and, some of the memories that he has and a lot of backstory. I didn't mind it. I just wanted more Thorne, because I thought Thorne was just a fascinatingly tortured, brooding character. And I love tortured, brooding characters. I really, really do. Can you guess which one's Louis and Lestat? And then you have Harrow. And he's kind of brooding, but in his own way. And he has like a dual identity thing going on. He's a knight, right? But he's also the serpent of Nephilim, or I can't really pronounce the name. It always makes me think of Nephilim whenever I was reading it. But he's like the serpent, and I'm like, okay, dual identity. He's trying to avenge his like mother's death and kill nobles who abuse their power. And he does it in really gruesome ways. Let me tell you, I'm just like, holy shit, that was there's a scene where he dismembers 3 royals and he puts them on a like a platter, and he puts their heads on pikes around them, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, that was dark and gruesome, but I was so here for it because they really were awful characters. So he kills with intent. So you really do like Harrow as a character. Then he has his familiar, who's a raven. They both have, familiars. It's Crawley. And they're both ravens. They're ravens, right? They're either ravens or crows. I can't remember which. But it's a blackbird. It's either a raven or a crow. So they each have their familiar, and, it's just very, very rich. I think my only real grievance with the story is I wanted a little bit more world building, and I want a little more structure on the way magic functioned in this world. I was a little confused with like the Titans and the mythology. I feel like it wasn't delved into enough, so I really couldn't ground myself in the way the magic kind of worked here. I was able to follow along, like get the gist of it, sure. But especially when it came to Thorne and his magic, you get a lot of Harrow and his magic and why he has serpentine magic. And it's really, really cool. He even has like a forked tongue and everything. It's great because he was adopted by snakes, right? Magical snakes. And I think we get a whole lot of his and how magic works for him and that. But when it comes to Thorne, I'm not very clear because a lot of it ties to the Titans. A lot of the magic, with the royals, it ties into like the Titans and the mythology that is in the world, and I don't think we got enough of that for me to really ground myself into the magic system of the world. It left me confused sometimes how the magic was supposed to work in this world, and that's my really only grievance with the book. But other than that, I thought it was great. I'm so glad I was forced out of my comfort zone, and to the point where I ended up having such a great, journey and adventure. I don't mind being forced, especially when I don't have to pay for it. Only spend money on things you like. So when I'm forced out of my comfort zone, and I'm like pleasantly surprised, it makes me feel really great. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is great. And now Luden Gray, she's on my radar now. And that ending, I already messaged the author, and I said, please tell me that there's going to be a book too, because I need my boys to, get back together. They didn't break up. Just, royal obligations have separated them, and I'm mad about that. And she's like, yes, I'm already working on a book too. And I'm like, good, you better be. By the way, I loved your book. Really pleasantly surprised, very, very happy that I was, again, pushed out of my comfort zone and was able to read something that I really enjoyed. Because the last street team I was on, Tristan and the Magistery, if you saw my review, that's the book I really wanted to, read and love, and it was really a huge letdown. But this one wasn't, and I'm very happy about that. And I'm so great when I'm pushed out of this is why I like being on street teams. Because then I'm forced to be out of my comfort zone. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Definitely check it out. The Executioner Prince by Luden Gray. Check it out. It's not available on Amazon, and it is also available on Barnes & Noble. And on that note, once again, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with our book with your friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.